20 coolest inventions for your garage you should see. This tool brings a few common car tasks together into one device. It runs on power from your car's 12V outlet. Inside, it uses an electric clutch and a reduction gearbox to give it the strength needed to loosen and tighten lug nuts. It comes with 4 socket sizes that match the lug nuts found on most cars. When you need to work on a tire, everything follows the same basic steps most drivers already know. You attach the right socket, press the button to loosen the lug nuts, and let the motor do the turning. After that, the socket can be swapped for a hook that connects to the jack point on the car. With another button press, the tool helps lift the vehicle. Once the tire is replaced, the process runs in reverse to tighten the nuts and lower the car back down. An added feature is the optional air pump and pressure gauge. If the tire needs air after installation, the hose connects directly to the valve, and the gauge lets you keep an eye on pressure as it fills. Trying to hold a flashlight with your shoulder while using both hands never works out as planned. That's usually the moment this kind of light starts to make sense. Instead of forcing you to aim a stiff tube of light, the head bends, stays where you put it, and lets you focus on fixing your car. Once you turn it on, you notice it's not limited to a single beam style. You can switch between a focused beam for distance, a wider flood for nearby work, or a mix of both. There's also a red light option. The controls are simple and the light remembers the last mode you used, so you don't have to click through everything each time. That's enjoying, right? For more, you can stick it to metal, stand it upright, clip it to something close by, or hang it overhead. After that, it works more like a small task light than a flashlight you have to keep holding. There are 2 main versions, and the differences show up mostly in output and runtime. The smaller model reaches 400 lumens. The brighter version goes up to 650 lumens, lights a larger area, and runs longer on higher settings, but both share the same size and flexible body. Just make sure you have $40 ready. This newly designed oil pan is made in the USA and it comes with 2 adjustable pipes and a funnel allowing you to reduce oil spills. It makes draining oil from a vehicle a breeze. The shape of the pan plays a big role in how it's used. Some versions are fairly shallow, so they can slide under cars that sit low to the ground. Others are deeper and meant to hold more oil in one go. The wide opening helps catch oil even if it comes out at an angle or splashes a bit when the drain plug is removed. It's made from high-density plastic that can handle hot oil right after the engine is turned off. That same material also holds up well when it comes into contact with things like motor oil or transmission fluid. The size depends on the model, but most hold anywhere from about 8 quarts to more than 16 quarts, which covers everything from smaller engines to larger trucks and diesel vehicles. Once the oil is collected, getting it into another container is easier thanks to channels that guide the flow. Some models include caps, which are useful if you need to move the oil before recycling it. Cleaning it afterward isn't much trouble. The inside surface is smooth, so oil doesn't cling to it. And the best part, it costs just $5. Stop getting up and down to finish that project. The smooth casters glide along your garage floor to follow you along from project start to finish. The tray itself measures about 20 in x 20 in with a height close to 24 inches. It sits on 3 small swivel wheels that let you roll it around the garage floor. Depending on the setup, it weighs between 4 and 5 pounds and can hold up to about 30 pounds of tools and parts. Instead of lying on it like a classic mechanic's creeper, you use it as a place to park your tools right next to the job. The open top has a few molded sections where you can drop sockets, bolts, and small parts so they don't end up scattered across the floor. Everything stays visible, which makes it easier to keep track of what you're using. The 3 wheels turn easily, so you can guide it where you want and then leave it there while you work. The small lead pod light is a nice addition, especially when you're working under a car or reaching into dark engine spaces. It puts out around 250 to 300 lumens and runs on AAA batteries. There are 2 brightness settings, so you can choose how much light you need. On the lower setting, it can stay on for several hours. Because it mounts with a magnet, you can stick it on the tray or any nearby metal and aim it right at the spot you're working on. It's priced at $50. Metal has a habit of remembering every small mistake, especially when a shopping cart gets involved. Paintless dent repair exists to deal with those reminders without turning a simple fix into a full body shop visit, and glue pull systems play a quiet but important role in that process. This kit works as the connection point between a dented vehicle panel and a mechanical pulling tool. It does not apply force by itself, but it allows hot glue to temporarily bond a removable pad to painted metal, so force can be transferred from a slide hammer or similar tool. Use begins with surface preparation. The panel must be clean. Heated glue is applied to the face of a pad, which is then pressed onto the dented area. After the glue cools and hardens, the holder connects the pad to a slide hammer. Pulling force is applied to draw the metal outward. Once the shape improves, the glue bond is released and residue is removed. The kit includes 4 puller pads and 2 holders. 2 pads measure about 2.44 in diameter and 2 measure about 4.7 in diameter. 1 holder matches each pad size. You can get it just for $19. If you've ever tripped over a shoplift or wondered why the floor suddenly turns into an obstacle course, this one feels a little different from the start. It stays out of sight until the moment it's actually needed. What makes it different is how the lift blends into the floor. When it's fully lowered, the platforms sit level with the surrounding surface, so cars can drive straight over the area. That makes a big difference with low cars and keeps the workspace open when the lift isn't being used. The lift moves up and down using a hydraulic system with 2 cylinders. And the locking process happens automatically while it moves. There's no need for compressed air, and there aren't extra steps for the operator to remember. Infrared sensors watch both sides of the lift to help them rise and lower together. And the platforms can extend to support longer vehicles like sedans or small vans. It can raise vehicles weighing up to about 6,600 pounds and reaches a working height of 71 inches. It takes around 45 seconds to lift a car and about 30 seconds to bring it back down. The full structure weighs close to 1,900 pounds. Anyone who has watched a bolt vanish mid-repair knows that gravity has a sense of humor. This tray exists to argue back. This organizing system has a flexible silicone body. That material naturally grips clean, smooth surfaces through surface contact, allowing the tray to stay put on painted steel, glass, or plastic without magnets or tape. Because the silicone can flex slightly, it adapts to flat panels and mild curves, which helps keep tools and hardware within reach during mechanical tasks. The largest tray measures 19 by 11 x 1 in and weighs about 2 1/4 pounds. You can get multi-ax sets that combine all 3 sizes. The silicone structure supports hand tools, fasteners, and small sub-assemblies. This reduces surface marking when metal tools are placed on finished panels and helps limited movement during repositioning. Integrated features are molded directly into the tray, including raised tool rest areas that keep items separated, measurement markings for quick reference, and shallow recessed sections that can hold small amounts of liquid for short periods. Large version costs $44. This rolling disc is made to hold a lot of weight, up to 350 pounds. It's 26 in wide and a little over 3½ in tall with 4 small wheels underneath. The platform itself is made from several circular pieces that are bolted together with screws, bolts, and lock nuts so everything stays in place. There are small retainers that help keep the wheels centered, and you can place one wheel on it or stack up to 4 at a time. Overall, it's a pretty useful full tool for $126. Grip Clean is famous for its tough soap that easily removes typical garage grime like oil stains from your hands. They also make a sturdy dispenser that pairs perfectly with a 3.7L plastic tank which costs $17. Depending on the soap and bottle size, one refill can last anywhere from dozens to around a 000 pump presses. The pump is made for thick hand soaps, including the kind with grit in them, like pumice or walnut shell. Those soaps are common in shops where grease, oil, paint, or heavy dirt is part of the job. When you press the lever, it pushes the soap through. Each press gives a consistent amount, which helps avoid waste when many people are using the same sink every day. Mounting it to the wall is a simple process. A bracket is screwed into place first, and then the dispenser slides onto it. The soap bottle sits underneath the pump, and before using it the first time, you press the lever a few times to pull the soap through. When the bottle runs out, it can be swapped without taking the dispenser off the wall. The dispenser itself costs $59. Ever tried lifting a car by hand? Yeah, not happening. That's where car jacks come in handy. At its simplest, a car jack is a tool that lifts part of a vehicle so you can handle basic jobs like changing a tire or checking something underneath. You provide the effort and the jack turns that effort into upward movement. Some do it through gears and threads, others through fluid pressure. Only one corner of the car is lifted at a time. And placing the jack at the correct lift point really matters. That's what keeps everything balanced and prevents damage. Now, once you get past what a jack does, the details start to matter. Most everyday mechanical jacks are designed for lighter jobs. While hydraulic ones are built to handle much heavier vehicles, a jack also needs to start low enough to slide under a car with a flat tire and then lift high enough for the wheel to clear the ground. How stable it feels depends on things like the width of the base, the shape of the frame, and how the weight travels through the metal. Screw jacks keep things simple. You turn a handle, which spins a threaded rod inside the jack. As it turns, the jack rises slowly and steadily. Hydraulic bottle jacks take a different approach. Each pump of the handle pushes fluid into a cylinder, which forces a piston upward. This makes lifting heavy vehicles feel almost effortless. Aries is a family-owned hand tool brand, and when space gets tight, tools like this start to make sense. This mini ratchet set is the kind of thing you reach for when your regular ratchet won't fit. It comes as a 2-piece set with a 1/4 ER in drive, a fine 92 mechanism that clicks every few degrees, and swivel heads that can turn almost completely around to line up with hard-to-reach fasteners. What makes these ratchets useful is how little movement they need to work. The small swing arc lets you turn bolts even when there's barely any room to move the handle. That's a big help in engine bays. The swivel heads also make a noticeable difference. You can angle the head to match the position of the fastener. The set is priced at $40. Anyone who has ever tried to oil a small hinge straight from a bottle knows how quickly things can go wrong. 1 second you are aiming carefully and the next there is oil everywhere except where it was supposed to go. Tools like these adjustable nozzle oilers exist to solve that exact problem. These oilers are available in several sizes holding approximately 4, 8 or 16 flu ounces. They are small handheld bottles used to store and apply lubricating fluids in a controlled way. Instead of pouring oil freely, they let you guide it directly to a specific point. The nozzle is where most of the control comes from. It can be angled or gently flexed so oil can reach spots that are difficult to access like linkages, bearings, hinges, or areas inside machinery. At the tip, a threaded cap controls how oil flows out. Open it fully and oil comes out faster. Close it partway and it slows down to a drip. Prices start from $21. If squeezing a trigger bottle until your hand gets tired feels like arm day at the gym, this kind of tool exists to spare you that workout. It approaches car cleaning in a different way, spraying and foaming on its own. It looks like a compact handheld sprayer, but it works more like a small powered pump. Inside, a motor pulls liquid from the tank and sends it out through whichever nozzle you have attached. With the foam nozzle, air mixes with the soap as it exists, turning it into thick foam that clings to paint long enough to soften dirt and road film. Swapping to the spray nozzle removes the air mixing and lays down a consistent spray, which suits lighter products like detailers. The setup makes everyday detailing jobs feel more controlled. Power comes from a 7-volt battery with a 2,600 missing in action hour capacity, giving close to an hour of continuous use. The liquid tank holds 56 ounces, about 1/2 L, which is enough for most single vehicle jobs without refilling. This tool is priced at $130. This electric drum pump runs on either 12 VTS or regular wall power, so you can plug it into an outlet or connect it to a vehicle or battery. It weighs close to 4.5 pounds and comes with an adjustable suction tube that can be set between about 33 and 49 inches. In the box, you also get a hose a little over 6 feet long, a manual nozzle, and a 2-in adapter that fits standard 55 gall drums. In simple terms, the pump works by pulling liquid up through the intake tube and pushing it out through the hose when the motor is switched on. It is meant for moving common liquids you would find in garages including diesel water, diesel exhaust fluid, antifreeze, washer fluid, mild cleaning liquids, agricultural fluids, and light oils. At the bottom of the intake tube, there is a stainless steel screen that helps stop dirt from getting inside the pump. This pump is priced at $597. This tool combines a vacuum cleaner, a blower, and a compressor all in one. It mounts on the wall and really shines when you're working. The main motor can both vacuum and blow through a long 50 feet hose so you can reach a car parked outside. The vacuum side handles everyday messes like dust, sand, and crumbs from car interiors. When you switch over to the blower, the same motor pushes out strong airflow that works well for clearing leaves and dirt from corners and floors. Changing between vacuum and blower isn't complicated. You're simply moving the hose to a different port. Internal protection helps manage heat during longer sessions, which is useful when multiple tools are used. The hoses are long enough that the unit doesn't feel restrictive even though it stays fixed in one spot. Storage hooks and bins are part of the setup, so hoses and tools don't end up on the floor. Installation takes some planning because it becomes a permanent part of the garage wall. Once it's in place, though, it works more like a shared utility than a single-purpose tool. Prices start at $2,950. Think of this ramp system as a long path that lets a car drive up without needing a jack. It can hold up to about 8,000 pounds when both ramps are used together, so it works for many cars, vans, and light work vehicles. Each ramp is made from several plastic sections that lock together. When all the pieces are connected, One ramp is roughly 180 in long, about 14 in wide, and lifts the vehicle around 7 in off the ground. What's nice about this setup is that you can change how long the ramp is. If a vehicle sits low, adding more sections makes the climb gentler. If space is tight, taking a few sections out shortens it. That also changes how much room you have underneath once the car is parked at the top. The ramps are made from a tough plastic. Each piece isn't too hard to move on its own, but once everything is connected, the weight helps the ramp stay in place. When you drive up, the connected sections guide the tires in a straight line. The only downside maybe is highly price tag. It costs $1,200. A simpler and more affordable option is available on the Risk Racing Team's website. Instead of spending thousands of dollars on other products from this video, you can buy a bunch of these utility jugs. It comes in two sizes, 3 gall and 5 gall, so you can pick based on how much you usually need to carry. The smaller one costs only $40, while the larger one holds more and saves you from refilling as often. Instead of relying on just one grip, there are 3. The top handle helps when you're lifting it straight up or setting it down. The side handle makes it easier to carry it close to your body. Then there's a smaller handle near the front that comes in handy when you're pouring, and the liquid inside starts shifting. Pouring is also helped by how air moves in and out of the jug. The breather is positioned at the back of the top handle, not near the spout like on many older containers. Because of that, air gets in without causing that stop and go motion that can lead to splashing. Ever feel like parking in your garage turns into a slow motion guessing game where you inch forward and hope you don't go too far? This little system is meant to take that moment of doubt out of pulling in. It works by paying attention to the infrared safety beam that most garage doors already use. As you drive in, your car blocks that beam. Once the beam is clear again, the system knows you've reached the right spot and turns on a red laser dot on the wall in front of you. That dot is your signal to stop. It's a simple visual cue that stays in the same place every time. Parking can be frustrating when space is tight or when more than one car uses the same garage. Hanging markers can swing out of place and floor guides can shift over time. By using the garage door's existing safety beam, this setup avoids those issues. After you mount the unit on a wall, you aim the laser at the spot where you want your car to stop. You'll pull in a few times to check the timing and make small adjustments if needed. Once that's done, everything runs on its own. And it costs only $29. The idea behind this wall system is pretty simple. It takes empty wall space and turns it into an organized storage area. Because the panels are plastic, they do not fall apart when exposed to water. That makes them a practical choice for places like garages and workshops. Each panel has horizontal slots running across it. These slots are what hold the accessories like hooks, baskets, shelves. Accessories slide into place and stay put, but they can also be moved around without tools. If your storage needs change, you can rearrange everything without damaging the wall. Each panel is about 3/4 of an inch thick and comes in sections that are usually 12 in high with common lengths of 4 or 8 feet. When the panels are screwed directly into wall studs, the wool can hold a good amount of weight across its surface. The finish is smooth and satin-like, so marks are less noticeable. Putting the panels up is fairly simple. They are screwed directly into wall studs, and the edges of the panels fit together so they line up cleanly when stacked. Once accessories are added, most of the screws are hidden. The panels can be mounted on drywall and concrete and they can be cut to size with common tools. Ever drop a screw on the floor and watch it disappear like it planned its escape? 1 second it's in your hand, the next it's gone, hiding somewhere you'll probably step on later. That's the kind of everyday annoyance this magnetic pickup tool is done for. It helps you grab small metal pieces without needing to touch them. Inside the compact body is a magnet that pulls in things like screws, nails, bolts, and washers as soon as you bring it close. Anyone who spent time in a garage knows how easily small parts get lost. A dropped screw can roll under a bench or blend into the mess around it. With a magnetic pickup, you don't have to spot it first. Even when it's hard to see, the magnet finds it. You can collect several pieces at once and move them together. Are you looking for a way to store multiple bikes with a hitch receiver? Do you want to declutter your garage? Do you want a wool bike rack? Top Shelf Storage Solutions has something you need. The unit itself weighs around 60 pounds. It lifts items using a steel cable similar to what's used in aircraft, paired with an electronic brake and a vertical metal track fixed to the wall. A moving carriage rides up and down that track and includes a 2-in hitch receiver, so it works with common hitch accessories. The main idea behind it is pretty simple. It helps move heavy items off the floor and up toward the ceiling using wall space that would otherwise sit unused. Once installed, you press and hold a button on the wired controller and the lift moves up or down. Let go of the button and it stops right away. One of the more practical parts of the setup is the hitch receiver. Because it accepts standard hitch accessories, you can lift things like bike racks, cargo trays, or tire carriers you may already own. On the larger version of the system, 2 carriages can be used at the same time as long as the total weight and how far the load sticks out from the wall stay within limits. The price starts at $499. If you've ever rolled up to your garage and thought, I already turned off the bike. Why do I still have one more thing to do? You'll get the idea right away. Opening a garage door sounds simple, but on a motorcycle, it somehow turns into gloves off, pockets checked, and a brief balancing act you didn't ask for. This product is a small control that lets you open or close your garage door while you're still on the bike. Instead of reaching for a separate remote, you press a button mounted where your hand already goes. It communicates with your existing garage door opener in the same way a standard remote does. Installation comes into play a bit later once the idea makes sense. The electronics arrive ready to pair with common residential garage door systems and the parts are arranged so the setup process doesn't turn into a project. What's worth noting is that nothing about the garage door changes. The system doesn't add new mechanics. It simply sends a signal when you press the button. Because of that, it can be used with many standard garage setups. You can check out OPM Sport potential by paying $139. When you first look at this wash bucket, it feels more like a well thought out tool than a regular bucket you'd grab from a garage shelf. It holds 6 gallons of water and weighs about 7 pounds when it's empty. The size is comfortable to work with, and the thick plastic doesn't flex or feel flimsy once it's full. Inside the bucket, you'll notice clear fill lines in gallons and a small measuring cup molded into the side, which makes adding soap easier. Using it is pretty simple. You fill it to the marked level, add soap using the built-in cup, and start washing one section of the car at a time. There are also extras you can add if you want. A clip-on caddy can hold your brushes and mitts. Wheels can be attached to help move it around when it's full. All of this for $40. When you spend a lot of time cleaning wheels and the lower parts of a car, being close to the ground can get uncomfortable fast. Kneeling over and over takes a toll on your knees and back. This stool gives you a different way to work by letting you sit low and roll along the side of the car. It keeps you at the right height so your hands stay where the work is, which makes the whole process feel less tiring. Moving around is simple because the stool rolls wherever you need it. You can slide from one wheel to the next without standing up, and the wheels turn easily so you're not fighting against it because it sits low to the ground. Everything feels more controlled. You can push off gently with your feet to reposition yourself instead of dragging the stool. Some versions also have a small spots to hold tools. The stool is priced at $180. If your skis have ever ended up in a tangled pile that slowly creeps across the garage floor, you already know how quickly temporary storage turns into a mess. That's where this wall-mounted rack comes in handy. It's meant to give long gear a clear place to live up on the wall where it's easy to grab and just as easy to put back. You slide skis down into the arms and their own weight helps lock them in. As the gear settles, the arms press in slightly, keeping everything in place. Where the gear touches the rack, there are rubber pads. These help keep items from sliding if the wall gets bumped, and also reduce scuffs over time. Size-wise, the rack doesn't take up much wall space. It's roughly 8 in wide, about 6 in tall, and a little over 3 in deep. The arms open to just under 2 in, which is enough room for most winter sports gear. Each unit can hold close to 20 pounds, so a pair of skis or a snowboard fits without issue. For $70, you get a set of 3. You get 3 very slim flat files in this set. Each one a different width, so you can pick what fits best. The narrowest blade is about 1/4 of an inch wide. The middle one is a bit wider, and the largest is a little over 1/2 an inch. All 3 have the same working length, a little more than 3 in, with the full tool coming in at around 7.5 in long. The blades are very thin, close to the thickness of a few sheets of paper stacked together. They're made with a steel center and coated in industrial diamond grit. The set is priced at $42. This setup is based on hexagon-shaped tiles that lock together on all sides. You can grow the layout upward, sideways, or at angles depending on what the space allows. As the wool fills in, the tiles share the load with each other, so adding heavier tools doesn't feel risky or awkward. Once you start adding accessories, the system begins to show how it's meant to be used. Hooks, tool holders, battery and charger mounts, disc holders, and trays, all attached directly to the tiles. The trays use removable containers so small parts and larger items can live in the same area without forcing a permanent layout. A small detail that ends up mattering is the space behind the tiles.